We'll move to that last part, that of first chapter, that is taxonomical aids. Taxonomical aids means, in order to do that classification, biological classification, binomial nomenclature, in order to make it family, genus, order, in order to do those things, scientist requires some materials. It may be plant, it may be animals. Those things is required, otherwise whatever we have studied earlier, it is not possible. So in the taxonomical aids, we are going to study from where these materials to do this type of classification, how the scientists are collecting it, how they are getting this. These are the things we are going to study inside this taxonomical aids. It's a very small small portion, but of very importance. The first area you have already heard about it, for example, known as herbarium. Herbarium means it is an area where the plant specimens, that means it can be a part of a plant, that means it can be any part of a plant, it can be a root, leaf, stem, any seed, any part of the plant, that will be dried, disinfected, pressed, labeled there, which year they have done this, from where they got it, and what is the local name of the plant, and who is the person who collected this. These things will be made in a paper sheet, and they will stitch these materials on that, and they will make a file and keep that inside a locker. And whenever they are keeping inside a locker, it is very much mandatory that that paper should not be spoiled by any means of infection, any means of attack. That can be from an insect, or it can be through water, anything. It is not allowed. Collecting those things, doing those things particularly, are known as herbarium. And the next one is known as botanical gardens. Botanical gardens is here the live plants, living plants like that, they will protect inside a particular area, and they will identify that plant, which is that plant, what is its name, where it is grown, majority where it is grown. These things will be labeled and indicated. Those are known as botanical gardens. And in botanical gardens, one more thing is possible. Outside people can go and visit there. We can see these plants. Or there are many botanical gardens are there in India, for example in Howrah, Lucknow. These areas we can go and see these plants. And National Botanical Research Institute, they themselves are having a small botanical garden. So now people are encouraged, and many of the big universities in India, now they started whatever the plant species are inside their campus, they started to name them, they started to identify them, they started to write their biological name, where it is found commonly, what is a common name in different languages. In India we have different languages, so they are writing those things where they are doing in life, they are known as botanical gardens. Next one is museum. Museum means inside this museum only dead remains will be there. Dead remains means stuffed ones. And especially these museums are very much common, and it is very easy to set up in educational institutions, and these will be used as references. Because nowadays we are having many of the animal specimens inside the museum, where they can go and see this extinct species of animal, how they are looking like, or how, what are the similarities between this animal which was extinct and animal that is present now, what are the similarities between them. those things can be studied. And insects are also preserved. Some of the preserved insects we can see in the normal biological laboratories, but it is not possible in CBSE lab. But when you enter into the college zoology or botany labs, we can see them. They are preserved. Those areas are known as museum. Next one is known as zoological parks. Zoological parks means here wild animals are protected under the human care, and zoo is also coming inside that. Zoos are also coming inside that. Here whatever the natural habitat for these animals will be given, how they are living inside in the wild, same areas, same things will be provided inside the zoological park. And one more important thing is that in zoological parks safaris are allowed if the zoological parks are very big, because uh, we are having many zoological parks in India where we can have wildlife safaris like Ranthambore, etc. It is not a zoological park exactly, but animals are protected there, so we can have a safari there. Children go and see them. And in the zoo, what is happening is animals are protected in a limited area, very limited area inside a cage. And this zoo protection is very important for the most endangered species. That means very critically endangered. That means if we don't protect them, conformly they will die. That means their numbers are very 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 rare. So these animals can be protected inside. These animals are protected mainly inside the zoo. And numbers which are having uh, more in number, they are protected inside in a normal zoological areas. And we have national park. Inside this national park is also can be considered as a zoological park. But in national park, what is happening, there are not only animals are there, we have plants also. And wherever these animals are protected, in order to get their natural habitat, plants are essential. So these plants are also protected there. So in zoological park both can be done. And what these scientists are going to get from these zoological park, botanical gardens, herbarium, etc., what they are going to get is they are going to get some identifying features which are helping them to find out the similarities and dissimilarities between these animals. And generally these key of contrasting characters, we call it as couplets. So this will be very easy for them. This will be very easy for the scientist to study about them. And whatever they are getting as a key is a lead. For example, we say that this particular animal is had a very thick dry skin, so it become a lead. So scientists can place them and identify them, is there is any very near species like this which is having these type of characteristics. So these are the things which they can find out from this. And apart from this, after taking this, they can make catalogs, they can make manuals, and they can make a mono means single, graph means they represent them in a graphical representation. What all are the organisms are present inside one specific area, they are known as monographs. And they will make manuals and catalogs. And in catalogs they will describe little description about these animals, what they are and how they are. In manuals they will be, sorry, in catalogs there will be no description, just they will name it off. And in manuals they will give little amount of description about these animals.